So I'm an epilepsy neurologist, and what I do is actually work with very medication-resistant individuals. These patients have epilepsy, but they can be very difficult to control. The numbers of those with epilepsy in the United States is about 3 million, and roughly 500,000 have this medication-resistant epilepsy. So we look at strategies to actually control those types of, let's say, unstable networks. What we want to understand first is, what is epilepsy, and really it is a fragile brain network, and truly it is abnormal information processing. And so our goal is to stabilize these fragile brain networks and make information processing stable. That is, your brain can do what it's designed to do. If we can actually understand how to stabilize these networks, we might even learn how to augment or improve normal information processing. When you look at it regarding how do we process the world around us, you can actually then begin to categorize, and for me it's into two big categories. One is, how does one visualize a brain network? And it's not simply performing a simple brain scan or EEG, which is really looking at brain waves. It's really walking around the brain network itself. The second category is really to understand how to connect to the brain network. And we don't think of medicines connecting to brain networks, but they do. They find landing sites just as easily, I guess, and probably it's more intuitive. We can connect wires or technology, so our wires, to natural brain wires. And so for me, it's how do we find the place? How do we make this biocompatible for technology to interface with a brain network? And then we learn how to modulate or to change the way information is processed in the brain. We have the standard brain scan, so MRI, which is a big magnet. It can visualize the lay of the land, but it can't look at the circuits. However, if you can tweak some of those MRI protocols, you can actually look at the actual wiring of the brain itself. We also have metabolic studies where you can look at blood flow or metabolic activity, that is sugar uptake. And basically you can look at very active places in the brain where seizures begin. And now if you put the metabolic studies together with the imaging where you can look at the wiring, you can actually look at the dots with the metabolism and the wiring with the MRI protocols, and you can connect those dots and see some beautiful circuits. And now we can actually understand where to connect our technology. We always start with the standard therapies, so medication and actually diet. So diet actually can work well to stabilize seizures, and sometimes up to about 8 times better than medicine, really high-fat, low-carbohydrate diets. When this doesn't work, we then look at other means, and this is the category of surgery. And underneath surgery, you can actually take out a small area in that network once we visualize, or you basically can stimulate it, modulate it. What we can understand going forward is that we could probably attach small devices that can both modulate by stimulation and also deliver therapeutic molecules to these areas. And actually, if you take one step further, one can even change the way the brain cells are structured. That means we can change the biology of our brain circuits, and we're doing some of that work here by implanting or injecting very small molecules or substances that can actually embed themselves into brain cells and change the way they conduct. Actually, it's a hybrid. These things are hybrids between medications and devices. And so we think of drugs as a pharmaceutical, we think of a device, at least the way we work with the brain, as a stimulation. So actually these things are being called electroceuticals. And so this hybrid of the stimulation with the drug molecule can actually do some very interesting things to the structure of the brain. The equipment designed, built by engineers exist in many places. We can look at a stronger magnet, for example, for an MRI, and now you have the latest technology in your hospital. What doesn't exist at every hospital is the ability to walk around the device and, let's say, program it. And so you can actually do some very unique things and attach other pieces of equipment to these beautiful big scanners. And now you have some combinations of technology and programming that really makes these very unique. And our goal is not only to look at doing something like that, but then to deploy it, to actually make it available to many.